Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Risk Fitness Podcast Radio Show, coming to you on the Sunday morning here. Real quick, before I head into melt my face off with our advanced Sunday Metcon group. But as I was going through our newsletters and emails for the upcoming weeks here and working on some of our copy stuff for our 50 Days of Fitness Challenge, which is the last fitness challenge we're going to do in 2019. It's actually 50 days until the end of the year. So we run you guys all the way up into, New Year's Day, if you will. I'll touch on that more in detail for you guys who are interested. We'll do a little special for the podcast listeners. But as I'm kind of going through, again, a side note, if you guys are not on our email, newsletter list and you want to be on it, just shoot me your email. I'm happy to add you. Like I said, I've sent out 3 emails a week, every single week for the past 11 years. Some weeks 5 or 6, depending on the crazy shit going on in my brain. But as I'm going through the drafts, I stumbled on one that was titled, It's Your Fault. And I thought it would resonate with a lot of you this morning, especially if you have a handful of minutes free to listen. And again, side note, there's going to be those of you listening out there that are going through some real life shit. And I get that. We cannot control all the negative, horrible, unfortunate things that do happen to us. That's just, whether you want to believe in God or source energy or the universe or unicorn tears, whatever you're believing in that's causing that stuff's going to happen. And you can't control that, admittedly. But how you react to those things and the decisions you make moving forward, that's what's going to control the domino effect of that singular event. And so I'm going to tie this to goals specifically because I'm a very goal-driven human being. And I believe most of you out there who are listening to my shit either are or you want to be in the future, or you're in a transitional phase where you're trying to be that version of yourself. So if you don't reach your goals, whom do you blame? And side note, for all my English majors out there, is it whom do you blame or is it who do you blame? You'd think that graduating college cum laude, I have the super high GPA, I would know this shit, but man, there's a lot of things in school I really didn't pay attention to. But anyways, I digress. If you don't reach your goals, who do you guys blame? If you're like most people that I personally know and worked with over the past 15 years, you blame it on anyone and everything else but yourself. You're failing to take extreme accountability and ownership for your life and your actions and understanding that you are the one who's in control. But what I hear most frequently from people is, I don't have time to fill in whatever they're trying to do. Work, quote unquote, got in the way. I can't seem to eat right for insert horseshit excuse. I'm too old and they're 37. I'm too old and they're 51. Quote unquote, my genetics suck. Or my parents did this, XYZ. Guess what, everybody listening? None of those are the reasons why you can't reach your goals in any fucking area of your life. The answer is you. You are the reason that you can't reach your goals. You are the one who manages your time every single day. Nobody else. You are the one who decides where you work. This is 2019. You have an iPhone, you have Google, you have YouTube. You can literally get a master's degree in fucking anything in probably 6 months to a year just on the free information alone. Now, I don't mean, quote unquote, a technical master's degree. I mean a master's degree like you've mastered something, or at least you've learned the basic fundamentals of it to get into the space. Does that make sense? To me, I would argue a lot of those things are more valuable and way more current than the shit you're gonna learn in a brick and mortar building. That's a completely different podcast altogether. But you decide where you get to work. If you wanna have a side hustle or a passion project and turn a dream into a reality, you are the one who decides what you eat every single day. Nobody is forcing you to eat something or drink something. And if you're a 12-year-old kid and you live in a household, I have empathy for you. You're probably not a listener of the podcast. If you're a grown adult, nobody's telling you you can or can't eat something, or you do or don't have to drink something. You have ultimate ownership over the shit that you eat and you drink every single day. You are not too old to do something. That is just a horseshit story you keep telling yourself, and it is probably the easiest, most basic cop-out anybody gets. Your genetics are not the reason that you cannot exercise and eat right. Let me repeat that. Your genetics, as bad as they might be, if you're the 8 billionth person on the planet, which you're not, because that person does not have arms or legs, and they probably can't see or hear, and you are listening to me today, so you are not that person. But even if your genetics are terrible and you're in the bottom 5%, Genetics are not a reason that you can't exercise, get quality sleep, and eat right 24/7, 365. If you are not reaching your goals in your fitness, in your nutrition, in your career, in your relationships, if you're not checking items off your bucket list and feel like you're making progress, it is 100% about you. Let me repeat that. If you are not making progress in your life and you're not getting to the places you want to be, it is because you are living in some kind of mental prison and you're convincing yourself or you're selling yourself on the reason of why you can't do something, or you're playing the victim. It is 100% about you. You have to own that shit and you have to embrace it, because that is the first step to fixing it. On a side note, in terms of that, I understand we're all raised differently, right? And your parents probably, like, if again, some parents are completely horseshit, but like most of you, your parents probably did the best job they could, or they tried. Or if you had some shitty parents, I get that. I'm not excusing any behavior or things that you went through. We all deal with the shit how we deal with it. But we like to blame other people, right? Like, we like to blame mom, we like to blame dad, we like to blame our brother or our sister or our socioeconomic background. But if we're gonna blame them, we also have to give them credit as well on the same note. And hear me out when I say this. I mean, a lot of people say, well, my mom fucked me up because she did this, or my dad fucked me up, they did that. And I love my parents too. They fucked me up in the way that they fucked me up. Now, they're not trying to do that. I go, whether it's lack of education, they're their own people, they're busy, whatever. We all, and again, some of that's probably just my natural tendencies, but if I'm gonna blame my mom and dad for all the things I'm not, I have to also give them credit for all the things that I am. Like, because I wanna be healthy. Maybe it's because I saw my mom, work out when I was a kid, right? And I work like a fucking maniac 100 hours a week. Maybe it's because I saw my dad grind for 30 years. Like, I'm responsible and I pay my bills and I never spend more than I make because my dad would always tell me, you never use a credit card. Like, simple stuff like that. Now, if I didn't learn certain social skills, if I didn't learn, certain behaviors, how to, do whatever I can't do well, they can take the blame, but they also need the credit. And I think we do that. My humble upbringings, yeah, I didn't grow up in a mansion and we didn't have fancy cars. I lived, I slept in a fucking bunk bed in a 2-bedroom apartment. There's something to be said about that. I wouldn't trade that for the world, even though it sucks. Like, when you see your friends have nicer clothes than you and all this different shit, I go, that's made me the person I am today. So me seeing, like, living a life that's, maybe wasn't quote unquote ideal has molded and shaped me as the person I am today. So I just don't want you out there listening, if you're like, well, I had it so rough and I got it this. I get that, but it's made you who you are. And even though you might not be able to uncover yet, that pressure, it can crumble you or it can make a diamond. I believe that. And the things that, all the shit that you've been through, if you're listening to me today, it hasn't fucking killed you yet, right? And so, these horrible things, or like, these less than ideal situations in life, these adversities, they build strength. They build character. They build a mindset. They build a brain of gratitude and perspective. And that's what I have. Like, because of certain things in my life, I appreciate the smallest shit now. The most and maybe I'm just a basic dude, but I appreciate everything. And those things, all the stuff, the adversity that I've went through, just like all of you listening, it didn't bury me. It planted me. Hear me out here. All that horrible shit didn't bury me. I'm not fucking dead. It just planted me so I could grow into this badass fucking version of myself today. And I believe the same for you. But the first step in fixing it is understanding that it's not anybody's fault, and your past is your past. You can't be operating on old technology. You wouldn't, keep looking at if you had like the old school flip phones like I had, like the old school Nokia flip phones, you update the technology, you update your phone. You can't still be living in that Nokia flip phone world. You got to get yourself an iPhone, and that's by making yourself better and understanding that it's nobody's fault but your own. And the second step is you have to be willing to invest in yourself and have a belief in yourself and invest in a positive, like-minded, kick-ass community of motivated fucking humans who are willing to lift you up and make you better every single day. And the third step is you have to be willing to create a plan in all the areas of your life that you want to improve. I'll say that one more time. You have to be willing to create a plan. Like, take some time, take an hour today, write it down, look at it, and create a plan for all the areas in your life that you want to improve on. You're not just going to wander into success. You're not going to wander into being a multimillionaire. You're not going to wander into having an amazing body. You're not going to wander into having a great relationship with your wife and your kids and everybody around you. You're not going to wander into being a great public speaker or writing a book or whatever your goal is. Great, amazing, epic things don't just magically fucking happen. Or at least that's never been the experience for me. You have to plan, and you have to have a goal, and you have to work towards it day after day after day. I promise you, if you're willing to do that, that will be the fastest way for you to make progress towards all of your goals in life. And it all starts with you. And if you guys are willing to accept that, you'll be successful. And before I let you go out of this quick rant, I just want to share a quote from my man, Teddy Theodore Roosevelt. And I quote, "If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month." I'll repeat that one more time just so you guys can hear it. From Teddy Theodore Roosevelt, one of the original OGs of America. And I quote, "If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your troubles, you wouldn't sit for a month." End quote. And I believe that, man. I think a lot of times we imprison ourselves with our thoughts, and we tell ourselves a story of certain things aren't, realistic or aren't ideal. And having self-awareness is real. Obviously, if you want to play in the NBA or the NFL and you're 35 years old and you've never played in it yet, it's probably not going to happen. But for most of us in the realistic scope of life, we're in charge of our life, nobody else. This isn't, destiny and some magic source isn't fucking guiding us. We're not in the Matrix. This is us. And you get to be the author of your book. You're the director of the movie. You literally are the coach of team of one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Just my quick kick in the ass on this Sunday. Just knowing if you're not reaching your goals, it's not your mom's fault. It's not your dad's fault. It's not what school you went to. It's not, where you fucking grew up. You can change all that stuff. And again, I have empathy for everybody who's went through some stuff. Again, I'm a middle-aged man, and I've been through my fair share, and I don't know anybody who hasn't. But I don't let it define me. Again, I use all of the, honestly, and this is a crazy thing. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, and seeing the forest from the trees, like once something is past, it really is a gift. And I wouldn't want to do, I guess I'll put it this way, I wouldn't change anything about my life. Maybe I'd have been nicer to certain people in certain situations because I'm more mature now, and I'm not such a little, asshole. But all the negative stuff that I've went through, whether it be physical, mental, emotional stuff, I don't know if I would even change it. I mean, for the fact that it's made me who I am today. And I appreciate it. And it's given me a level of perspective and gratitude that the more I travel the world and talk to people, I realize they don't have. And for all the, IQ gifts I don't have, it's the emotional intelligence gifts I do have. And I think some of that is obviously, genetically or God-given, if you will. But a lot of it's just experience-based, and me being able to see things maybe at a younger age and go through things and understand them. And that if I want an awesome life, I'm going to have to do it. And I can't blame anybody for any of my shortcomings. That's on me. And whether, it was, lack of education or lack of parenting or lack of, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter. It's up to me to fill the gap then. If I wasn't fucking taught something, I'm a grown adult. Now it's up to me to cover the space. If I was given this instead of this, it doesn't matter. I need to find a way to make it work if it's truly important to me. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, you can't control the stuff, but you also, at this point in life, now you can control the stuff. Whatever happened, happened. But moving forward, you're in the driver's seat. Nobody else. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Anything else you want to hear in the podcast, shoot me a message, hit me up. I'm happy to record it. I'm going to try to get my wife on tomorrow night. So if you have questions for her, please just ask. I think we're going to go over nutrition scoping of, what we eat, how we buy groceries, the things we have to have and don't have to have, things like that. But if you want to hear anything else, just let me know. And if you're on iTunes right now, stop. Don't be a lazy ass. Drop me a 5-star, leave a comment. I truly would appreciate it. And share this with a friend or family member who needs a little kick in the ass today to get their life rolling to where they should be, because you love them and you appreciate them, and they could do more and be more, but most importantly, it would make them happier, which I think that to me is the ultimate success. So until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please, you guys, just keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy, because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to all you guys soon. Peace.